Right now, as you're watching this video, something is happening to your savings account, something quiet, something invisible, something that no bank, no financial advisor, and no government official is going to warn you about. Your money is disappearing, not in some dramatic heist, not because someone hacked your account. It's disappearing slowly, silently, like a leak in a pipe hidden behind a wall. By the time you notice the damage, thousands, maybe tens of thousands, and of dollars will already be gone. And here's the worst part. You're probably doing everything you were told to do. You're saving money, you're being responsible, you're putting cash aside for a rainy day. But what if I told you that the very system you trust to protect your money is the one destroying it? Today I'm going to pull back the curtain. I'm going to show you 7 warning signs that your savings are being silently destroyed. Signs that nobody in the financial industry wants you to know about. Because once you see them, you can never unsee them. And more importantly, once you understand them, you can finally start fighting back. Stay until the end, because warning sign number 7 is the one that catches even the smartest, most financially savvy people completely off guard. Let's get into it. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what interest rate your savings account is paying you right now? If you're like most people, you probably have a vague idea. Maybe you think it's somewhere around 4 or 5%. That sounds pretty good, right? But here's what the banks don't tell you. That interest rate they're advertising, it's a marketing number. It's designed to make you feel good, to make you feel like your money is growing. But when you factor in what's actually happening to the purchasing power of every single dollar in that account, the picture changes dramatically. See, your bank might be paying you 4% interest. But if inflation is running at 6, 7, or even 8%, and let's be honest, the real inflation rate that affects your daily life is almost always higher than the official government number, then you're not earning 4%. You're losing 2, 3, or 4% of your money's value every single year. Let me put that in real numbers. If you have $50,000 in a savings account earning 4% interest, you're getting $2,000 a year. Sounds great. But if real inflation is 7%, your money is losing $3,500 in purchasing power. That means even after your interest payment, you're down $1,500 in real terms. You're getting poorer while your bank statement tells you you're getting richer. That is the first and most fundamental lie of modern savings. The banks know this, the financial institutions know this, but they will never, ever frame it that way. Because if they did, you might actually move your money somewhere else. And they can't have that. Think about it like this. Imagine you have a bucket of water, and every year someone pours in a small cup. That's your interest. But at the same time, there's a hole in the bottom of the bucket, and water is leaking out faster than it's being poured in. You're focused on the cup going in, but you're ignoring the stream pouring out. That's exactly what's happening to your savings. And banks are not going to hand you a magnifying glass to examine that hole. They're going to keep pointing at the cup, smiling, and telling you everything is fine. Because as long as your money sits in their institution, they can lend it out at rates far higher than what they pay you. Your loss is their profit. Never forget that. And it gets worse. The official inflation numbers reported by the government use a methodology that systematically understates the actual cost of living. They use tricks like substitution. If steak gets too expensive, they assume you'll switch to chicken, so they count chicken prices instead. They use hedonic adjustments. If your new computer is faster than your old one, they count it as cheaper, even if you paid more for it. The real inflation you experience at the grocery store, at the gas pump, at the doctor's office, in your rent or mortgage payment, is almost always higher than the number on the news. Some independent economists estimate that real inflation has been running 2 to 3 percentage points higher than official figures for over a decade. If that's true, then the erosion of your savings is even worse than the scenario I just described. Much worse. So what's the takeaway? Stop celebrating your interest rate. Start measuring your real return, the interest rate minus the true inflation rate. If that number is negative, your savings are being destroyed. Period. I get it. Cash feels safe. When markets crash, when the economy looks shaky, when headlines are screaming about recessions and layoffs, there's a deep primal comfort in knowing you have cash in the bank. You can see it. You can touch it. It's not going to drop 40% overnight like a stock portfolio. But here's the trap. Safety is an illusion when the thing you're holding is losing value every single day. Let me give you a historical example that should send chills down your spine. In the year 2000, $100,000 could buy you a modest home in many parts of America. Today, that same $100,000 might not even cover a down payment in those same areas. The cash didn't get stolen. No one took it from you. But the purchasing power, the thing that actually matters, evaporated. People who hoarded cash in 2000 thinking they were being safe and responsible watched their money lose more than 60% of its purchasing power over the next 2 decades. Meanwhile, people who put that same money into diversified investments, real estate, or even simple index funds, saw their wealth multiply several times over. The emotional comfort of cash is costing you a fortune. Every dollar that sits in a savings account beyond what you need for your emergency fund, and we'll talk about how much that should actually be in a moment, every extra dollar sitting there is a soldier in your financial army that's been told to stand down while the battle rages on. You're not being safe by hoarding cash. You're being passive. And in a world where the value of money is actively being eroded by monetary policy, by government spending, by global economic forces, passivity is the most dangerous financial strategy there is. Now, I'm not saying you should have zero cash. You absolutely need an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses, liquid and accessible. But beyond that, every extra dollar sitting idle is a dollar that's slowly dying. I've spoken with people who have $200,000, $300,000, even $500,000 sitting in savings accounts because they're terrified of the stock market. They watched their parents lose money in 2008. They saw the dot-com crash. They have deep emotional scars around investing. And I empathize with that, truly. But the math is merciless. At 3% real inflation, $300,000 in cash loses $9,000 in purchasing power every single year. Over a decade, that's $90,000 gone. Not lost in a market crash, not stolen by a scammer, just evaporated by the invisible force of currency debasement. Fear of losing money in the market is costing these people far more than the market ever would have. Let's talk about something that makes my blood boil: hidden fees. The financial industry has turned fee hiding into an art form. They've gotten so good at it that most people have absolutely no idea how much they're actually paying. And these fees are silently eating your savings alive. Let's start with the obvious ones. Monthly maintenance fees on your checking and savings accounts, ATM fees, wire transfer fees, overdraft fees. These are the ones most people know about, and they add up to hundreds of dollars a year for the average American. But those are just the appetizers. The real feast happens in your investment accounts. If you have a 401k through your employer, there's a very good chance you're paying between 1% and 2% in total fees every year. That includes the expense ratios of the funds, administrative fees, record-keeping fees, and a dozen other line items buried in documents you've never read. 1% to 2% doesn't sound like a lot, does it? Let me show you what it actually costs. If you invest $500 a month for 30 years and earn an average return of 8%, you'll end up with about $745,000. Not bad. But if you're paying 1.5% in fees, your actual return drops to 6.5%. And at 6.5%, you end up with about $590,000. That's a difference of $155,000. Gone. Not to the market, not to bad investments, to fees. $155,000 that was quietly siphoned out of your retirement over 30 years. That's a house. That's years of retirement income. That's your financial freedom, handed over to fund managers and administrators who did nothing exceptional to earn it. And here's what really gets me. The financial industry knows that if they showed you this number up front, you'd walk away. So they don't. They show you percentages, not dollars. They bury the information in prospectuses that are deliberately written to be incomprehensible. They make it nearly impossible for you to figure out what you're actually paying. Your action step, this week, sit down and calculate the actual dollar amount you're paying in fees across all your accounts. Every single one. I promise you, the number will shock you. And once you see it, you'll be motivated to do something about it. This one is going to challenge everything you've been taught about money. Most people save exclusively in their local currency. If you're American, you save in dollars. If you're British, pounds, European, euros. And that seems perfectly logical. It's the currency you earn in, the currency you spend in, the currency your whole life revolves around. But here's the problem. By saving only in one currency, you're making a massive concentrated bet on the economic and monetary policy of a single country. And historically, that bet has not always paid off. Since 1971, when the US dollar was taken off the gold standard, the dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. 85%. A dollar in 1971 is worth about 15 cents today in real purchasing power. Every single person who saved exclusively in dollars during that period watched the vast majority of their money's value disappear. Now, I'm not saying the dollar is going to collapse tomorrow. I'm not a doomsday preacher. But what I am saying is that putting all of your financial eggs in one currency basket is a risk that most people don't even recognize as a risk. Sophisticated investors and wealthy individuals have understood this for generations. They diversify across currencies, across assets, across geographies. They hold some portion of their wealth in things that can't be printed by a central bank. Assets like real estate, commodities, precious metals, and yes, even carefully selected digital assets. You don't need to become a currency trader, but you should at least be aware that the currency you're saving in is not a neutral, stable store of value. It's an active bet. And if you're not consciously managing that bet, you're leaving your financial future to the whims of politicians and central bankers who have their own agendas that may not align with your best interests. This warning sign is one of the most insidious because it involves the very people you're trusting to protect your money. Let me be clear. There are many excellent ethical financial advisors out there, people who genuinely care about their clients and work hard to do right by them. But the system they operate in is fundamentally broken, and even the best advisors are swimming against a current of misaligned incentives. Here's what I mean. The majority of financial advisors in this country are not fiduciaries. That's a fancy word that means they're not legally required to act in your best interest. Instead, they operate under what's called a suitability standard, which means they only need to recommend products that are suitable for you, not necessarily the best for you. And the difference between suitable and best can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Think about it this way. Imagine you go to a doctor, and instead of prescribing you the most effective medication, they prescribe you one that's good enough, but happens to pay them a bigger commission from the pharmaceutical company. Would you be okay with that? Of course not. But that's exactly what happens in the financial industry every single day. Your advisor might recommend a mutual fund with a 1.5% expense ratio when a nearly identical index fund charges 0.03%. Both are suitable. But one makes the advisor's firm a lot more money. Guess which one gets recommended? Your advisor might recommend an annuity product that locks up your money for years and charges hefty surrender fees because annuities pay some of the highest commissions in the industry. Is it suitable for a retiree? Sure. Is it the best option? Often, absolutely not. Here's what you need to do. Ask your financial advisor one simple question. Are you a fiduciary? If they hesitate, if they hedge, if they say anything other than a clear, unequivocal yes, that tells you everything you need to know. And even if they are a fiduciary, stay engaged. Ask questions. Understand every product they recommend and why. Your money is too important to outsource on blind faith. This might be the most important mindset shift in this entire video. Saving money and building wealth are not the same thing. They're not even close. And confusing the two is one of the biggest reasons why people who do everything right financially still end up struggling. Saving money is defensive. It's about preservation. It's about making sure you have enough to survive an emergency, cover unexpected expenses, and maintain stability. Saving is essential. It's the foundation, but it's not the building. Building wealth is offensive. It's about growth. It's about deploying your money into assets that appreciate, that generate income, that compound over time. It's about making your money work for you instead of just sitting in a vault slowly losing value. And here's where so many people go wrong. They stop at saving. They hit their savings goal, pat themselves on the back, and think they're done. They have 6 months of expenses saved up, maybe even a year. They feel secure, they feel responsible, but they never take the next step. They never transition from defense to offense. And because of that, they spend their entire lives running on a treadmill, working harder and harder just to maintain the same standard of living while the cost of everything around them keeps going up. The wealthy understand something that the middle class often doesn't. Your savings account is a waiting room, not a destination. Money should flow into your savings, sit there briefly until you have enough for your emergency fund and short-term needs, and then flow out into investments, into assets, into things that grow, real estate that generates rental income, index funds that compound over decades, a business that creates value and cash flow, skills and education that increase your earning power. These are the things that build wealth. A savings account, no matter how large, is not one of them. If your entire financial strategy is to save more money and put it in the bank, you are guaranteed, I repeat, guaranteed, to fall behind over time. The math doesn't lie. You cannot outsave inflation, fees, taxes, and the rising cost of living. You can only out-invest them. I told you to stay until the end, and here's why. This is the warning sign that catches everyone. Even people who think they have their finances completely figured out. The tax trap. Every dollar you earn is taxed. Every dollar of interest your savings generates is taxed. Every dollar of investment gain is taxed. And the way the tax system is structured, it systematically punishes savers and rewards debtors. Let me explain. When you earn interest on your savings account, that interest is taxed as ordinary income. Depending on your tax bracket, you might be giving up 22, 24, 32% or more of your interest earnings to the government. So that 4% savings rate we talked about earlier, after taxes, it might only be 3%. And after inflation, you're deep in negative territory. But here's where it gets truly unfair. When the government prints money and causes inflation, the prices of everything go up. Your house goes up in value. Your investments go up in value. But that increase isn't real wealth creation. It's just the same assets being measured in dollars that are worth less. Yet when you sell those assets, you pay taxes on the gains, even though in real terms, you might not have gained anything at all. This is called inflation tax, and it's the most regressive, most invisible, and most destructive tax in existence. It's not written in any tax code, no politician campaigns on it, but it transfers wealth from regular people, from savers, from workers, from retirees on fixed incomes, to the government and to those who understand how to use the system to their advantage. The wealthy use tax-advantaged accounts, tax loss harvesting, real estate depreciation, qualified opportunity zones, charitable trusts, and a dozen other strategies to minimize their tax burden. They're not doing anything illegal, they're just playing by rules that most people don't even know exist. And meanwhile, the average saver is keeping their money in a regular taxable savings account, paying full freight on every dollar of interest, and watching their real wealth shrink year after year after year. Your action step: maximize every tax-advantaged account available to you before you put another dollar into a regular savings account. Your 401k, your IRA, your HSA. If you have one, your 529 for your kids' education. These accounts exist specifically to help you fight back against the tax trap. Use them. And it goes beyond just retirement accounts. Learn about tax loss harvesting, the strategy of selling investments at a loss to offset gains elsewhere in your portfolio. Learn about the difference between short-term and long-term capital gains taxes, and how holding investments for just 1 year longer can cut your tax bill dramatically. Learn about Roth conversions and how they can save you a fortune in retirement. The tax code is thousands of pages long. It is deliberately complicated. But within that complexity are dozens of legal strategies that can save you enormous amounts of money. Strategies that the wealthy use every single day and that nobody teaches in school. The system isn't going to change to benefit you. So you have to learn to navigate it. That's not optional, that's survival. So there you have it, 7 warning signs that your savings are being silently destroyed. Your interest rate is a mirage that hides real losses. Your love of cash is a comfort blanket that's costing you a fortune. Hidden fees are bleeding you dry in ways you can't even see. Your single currency savings are an unrecognized bet that may not pay off. Your financial advisor might be working for their commission, not your future. You're confusing saving with wealth building and falling behind because of it. And the tax system is rigged to punish the very behavior you've been told is responsible. Now, I know that's a lot to take in, and I know it might feel overwhelming. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first step. The fact that you watched this entire video means you're already ahead of 95% of people out there who are sleepwalking through their financial lives. Knowledge is power, but only if you act on it. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, calculate your real savings rate. Take your interest rate, subtract the true inflation rate, and your tax rate on that interest. If the number is negative, you now know the size of the leak in your bucket. Second, audit your fees. Every account, every fund, every service. Add up the dollar amounts, write them down, look at them. Let the anger motivate you. Third, ask yourself honestly, am I saving or am I building wealth? If the answer is just saving, it's time to develop an investment strategy that puts your money to work. Fourth, max out your tax-advantaged accounts before you put another penny into a regular savings account. And fifth, start learning. Read books, watch videos, talk to fiduciary advisors. The financial industry profits from your ignorance. Your greatest weapon against that is education. Nobody is going to protect your money for you. No bank, no government, no financial institution. The only person who will ever truly look out for your financial well-being is the person staring back at you in the mirror. I want to leave you with one final thought. Every generation faces its own financial challenges. Our grandparents dealt with the Great Depression. Our parents navigated stagflation and sky-high interest rates. Our generation faces a unique combination of currency debasement, asset inflation, hidden fees, and a financial system designed to keep us compliant and uninformed. But we also have something no previous generation had: access to information, the internet, financial education content, communities of people sharing knowledge and strategies. The tools to fight back are there. You just have to pick them up. It's time to wake up. It's time to fight back. And it's time to stop letting your savings be silently destroyed. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button and share it with someone you care about. Someone who needs to hear this. subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video, because I've got a lot more to share about how to truly protect and grow your wealth in today's economy. Drop a comment below telling me which warning sign hit you the hardest. I read every single comment, and your stories help me create better content that serves you. Remember, this channel is about real financial education, the kind they don't teach in schools and the kind the financial industry hopes you never learn. I'll see you in the next one.